Hello and welcome back to the next in our series on Provincial Nominee Programs. Otherwise known as PNPs, these are programs specifically aimed at workers who wish to gain permanent residence in Canada and who have the skills, education and work experience to contribute to the economy of a specific province or territory.
Each province has its own provincial program and is allowed to offer a designated number of nominations each year. Each generally offers a variety of streams within their program which target different groups, depending on what the specific needs and requirements are within that province.
Unlike federal immigration programs where applicants can choose where they settle, if you gain permanent residence in Canada through a nomination from a province, you must live in that province for a certain period of time. And many of the provinces are keen to attract people who already have ties to that province or can show a particular interest in moving there.
You may or may not be aware that a nomination from a province provides applicants with 600 extra CRS points, so getting hold of a provincial nomination is a highly sought after prize. PNPs are often great for those who may not have a very high CRS points total or who may have experience in a specific field or a trade which is in demand in certain parts of Canada.
How you apply for a PNP varies greatly from province to province and also depends on which stream you're applying through. In total, across all of Canada's provinces and territories, there are more than 80 possible nomination streams, which is why we've broken it down for you and are looking at them one province at a time.
So today, we're going to be talking about the province of Ontario, and we'll give you all the information you will need to decide whether it's the right choice for you. As well as being home to both Canada's capital city, Ottawa, and the largest city, Toronto, Ontario is also Canada's most populous province, with just under 40% of the whole country's population living there.
Ontario is Canada's second largest province in terms of landmass, second only to Quebec, which it neighbours to the east. It's bordered by Manitoba to the west and the vast expanse of Hudson Bay to the north, and of course the United States to the south, and it covers no fewer than 5 states along its 2,700 kilometre border. And if that wasn't enough, Ontario also shares the world-famous Niagara Falls with the US state of New York.
So to begin with, the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, or OINP, has 9 different streams within the program, which all have very different requirements, as well as different application systems.
There are 4 programs which can be applied to directly through the OINP and 5 which are applied to through what is known as the Expression of Interest system, which we will explain later in this video. 3 of the programs are linked to the Federal Express Entry system, 3 are under the Employment Job Offer category for workers who already have a permanent job offer in Ontario, and the remaining 3 are for entrepreneurs and graduate students.
We will start with the Express Entry linked programs. To be eligible for the 3 streams which are linked to the Federal Express Entry system, you must first have a valid Express Entry profile, which means that you need to first meet the requirements of one of the 3 Federal Express Entry programs, either Federal Skilled Worker, Federal Skilled Trades, or the Canadian Experience class. Each of these programs have different requirements, so if you don't already have an Express Entry profile, start by watching our video on Express Entry Explained. Then click the links in the description box below to learn more about each program, and you can answer a series of questions to find out whether you meet the criteria for any of these programs.
The 3 categories under the Express Entry stream are firstly the French-speaking skilled worker stream, which, as the name suggests, is for workers with French language skills as well as strong English language skills. However, you do not need to be a fluent French speaker to apply for this. You need to achieve a CLB level 7, which is classed as upper intermediate level, and a CLB level 6 in English. Make sure you watch our video on Language Tests Explained for a lot more information on CLB levels. To apply for this stream, you need to have an Express Entry profile and meet the requirements for either the Federal Skilled Workers Program or the Canadian Experience class.
The next category is the Skilled Trades stream, for workers who have at least 1 year's experience working in an eligible skilled trade occupation in Ontario. The title of this category is slightly misleading, as the experience must have been gained in Ontario, and any experience working in a trade outside of Canada will not count. To be eligible for this stream, you must first have an active Express Entry profile and meet the requirements of the federal government's Canadian Experience class.
The third and most popular category is the Human Capital Priorities stream, easy for me to say, which is for skilled workers who have the required work experience, education and language proficiency in French or English. The reason this category is so popular is because you do not need to have a job offer or Canadian work experience.
To apply, you need to have an express entry profile and meet the requirements for either the Federal Skilled Workers Program or the Canadian Experience class. You will need at least 1 year of continuous paid full-time work experience in skill type 0 or skill level A or B of the National Occupational Classification. More on this later. You'll also need a minimum of a bachelor's, a master's or a PhD, CLB 7 in either French or English, enough money to support yourself and your family, and the intention to settle in Ontario. All the information on these programs can be found in the links below.
If you have a high enough CRS score in the express entry pool, or you have experience in one of the occupations which is in demand in Ontario, you have a good chance of being selected for this program.
If you meet the requirements of your chosen program by either having enough points or having experience in an in-demand field, you will be selected to apply for the OINP. The way selection happens is because when you create your express entry profile, you have to select the province or the provinces which you're interested in. You can choose just one or multiple, or you can choose all of them, meaning that you have no preference.
The portal then allows each province and territory to search only for candidates who've expressed an interest in their province, and this way they can use the portal to search for candidates who are already in the express entry pool using a combination of search criteria like language levels, education, work experience, and qualifications.
So once you have an active express entry profile and you have selected Ontario as your province of choice, the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, or OINP, will be able to find you in the express entry pool. On a very basic level, the OINP searches the express entry system to find candidates who they think will meet the criteria of one of their express entry streams. If they deem you to be a suitable candidate, they will offer you a notification of interest, inviting you to submit an online application to the OINP.
Once you've received this notification of interest, you have 45 days to apply online through the OINP e-filing portal, which we've added the link to below, and pay the $1,500 application fee. But be aware that receiving a notification of interest does not guarantee your application will be approved or accepted. It just means you've been identified as a candidate and are eligible to submit an application.
Moving on from express entry linked programs, the next 3 programs in the OINP come under the category of employer job offer. And as implied by the name, each of these 3 programs require the applicants to have an offer of employment by an employer in Ontario. The first program is the Foreign Worker Stream, which is for foreign workers with a job offer in a skilled occupation at skill type 0 or skill level A or B of the National Occupational Classification, or NOC. A NOC defines each occupation as a particular skill level or skill type. To find out which NOC your experience comes under, click on the link in the description box below. In here you will find a comprehensive list of every occupation and how each one is classified, either as a skill type 0 or a skill level A, B, C or D.
The job offer must be for a full-time and permanent position in Ontario, meaning there's no end date and you're getting at least 30 hours of paid work per week. The position must also be urgently necessary to your employer's business.
The second option in the employer job offer category is the International Student Stream, which is for foreign students who have recently graduated from an eligible Canadian institution with a minimum of a 2-year diploma or degree and who have a job offer in a skilled occupation at skill type 0 or skill level A or B of the National Occupational Classification.
As with the foreign worker stream, the job offer must be for a full-time and permanent position in Ontario, meaning there's no end date and, again, at least 30 hours of paid work per week. The position must also be urgently necessary to your employer's business.
The final stream in the employer job offer category is the in-demand skills stream, which is for intermediate skilled foreign workers in specific sectors, such as agriculture, construction, trucking and personal support workers who have at least 9 months of cumulative paid full-time work experience whilst living and working legally in Ontario in the same in-demand occupation as the job offer.
Eligible occupations must have a NOC code of skill level C or D, and you can click the link below to find out which NOC code your occupation is classed as. Examples of NOC skill level C and D occupations are transport truck drivers, farm workers, home support workers, woodworking and machine operators, and industrial painters.
And as with the previous 2 streams, the job offer must be full-time and permanent position in Ontario, no end date, 30 hours of paid work per week, and urgently necessary to the employer's business.
Unlike the Express Entry linked programs where the OIMP finds you in the pool, all three of these programs require applicants to be proactive and first create a profile in the OIMP e-filing portal. Through this, you'll register an expression of interest, or EOI, for the employer job offer category.
Once you have created your profile and registered your EOI, expression of interest, you'll be given a score based on your skills and experience, and based on your score and your specific occupation, you may be selected in one of the OIMP draws.
If you're selected from the candidate pool and receive an invitation to apply to one of the employer job offer streams, you have just 14 days to submit an application online through the OIMP e-filing portal with all the necessary supporting documents. The application fee is either $1,500 or $2,000 Canadian dollars depending on the program and the location of your job offer. Be aware that because these three programs are not linked to Express Entry, they do not have a quick processing time, so be prepared for a wait of 12 to 18 months plus.
The next programs we're going to talk about are the Masters and the PhD graduate streams. These are for applicants who have recently graduated from an approved university in Ontario with either a Masters or a PhD. So if you don't have either of these are not the programs for you. Both these streams follow the same application system as the employer job offer streams by first creating a profile in the OIMP e-filing portal and registering your expression of interest. You will then be given a score. If your score is high enough, you may be selected in one of the OIMP draws and you can apply for a nomination.
A good tip here is that once you've graduated from a Canadian university, you are eligible to apply for a postgraduate work permit, which will be valid for the same length of time as your studies. With Canadian work experience, you'll then gain extra valuable points, which could boost your chances of your expression of interest being selected.
The Masters and the PhD graduate streams are not linked to Express Entry under the OINP, but as we mentioned earlier, the Express Entry system generally has a much faster processing time than other programs. So, if you can boost your points total with both Canadian study and work experience, and are otherwise eligible for one of the Express Entry streams, you may gain enough points to be selected in an Express Entry draw and gain permanent residency much quicker.
The application fee for both the Masters and PhD graduate schemes is $1,500 Canadian dollars, which is non-refundable if your application is unsuccessful. And of course, we've included all the links for the relevant programs in the description box below.
The final stream in the options for the OIMP is the Entrepreneur stream, which is for entrepreneurs from outside Canada who are looking to start a new business or buy an existing business in Ontario. Under this stream, an entrepreneur and up to one foreign business partner has the opportunity to be nominated for permanent residence once their business has been established in Ontario.
The process for applying for the Entrepreneur stream is multi-stage and starts with registering an expression of interest by email. If you are invited, you submit an online application and then attend an interview. If this is successful, you must sign a performance agreement and a temporary work permit support letter is issued so that you can apply to IRCC for a temporary work permit.
After this, you will have 20 months from arriving in Ontario to establish your business and submit a final report. If the business meets all the necessary requirements, all the relevant documents will be gathered, and if you are eligible, you will receive a nomination for permanent residence.
The minimum requirements to be eligible for an expression of interest are being able to prove that you will have a viable business that is likely to provide economic benefit to the economy of Ontario, at least 2 years of full-time business experience out of the last 5 years, and a personal net worth of at least $800,000 Canadian dollars for a business within the Greater Toronto Area, or $400,000 for a business outside the Greater Toronto Area.
There is also a minimum personal investment ranging from $200,000 to $600,000, depending on the location and the nature of the business. And there is also a requirement to create at least 1 or 2 permanent full-time jobs for Canadian citizens or permanent residents, again, depending on the location of your business.
There are additional requirements if you're planning on purchasing an existing business. All the requirements for the Entrepreneur stream can be found on the OINP website, which we've linked below.
So, we hope this has given you a bit more insight into the different options for getting a provincial nomination from Ontario. As you can see, there are a lot of ways in, which is great because if you don't qualify for one program, there are other options depending on your skills and your experience and your qualifications.
Please do get in touch if you're thinking of moving to Ontario, or if you're already there, tell us how you're getting on. And make sure you hit subscribe and stay tuned for lots more info and advice on moving to Canada.